The CEO locked Hangar 9 for 20 years, until a single dad started the plane inside. Nobody in the company dared to go near Hangar 9. For 20 long years, the massive steel doors remained locked under the direct order of CEO Victoria Hayes. Hundreds of employees had come and gone, but not one of them had ever seen what was hidden inside. Security cameras watched every corner, warning signs covered the entrance, and anyone who asked questions was quietly told that some memories were better left buried. But on one cold autumn morning in Wichita, Kansas, everything changed. A struggling single father named Michael Carter unknowingly walked toward the forgotten hangar, carrying nothing more than a worn toolbox, a heavy heart, and the hope that this new maintenance job would finally help him provide a better life for his 8-year-old daughter, Grace. Before we continue this unforgettable story, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to the channel. Every act of support helps us bring more emotional stories that remind us the world still has good people in it. Michael had once been one of the finest aircraft mechanics in the Air Force before life turned against him. After losing his wife, Rebecca, to a sudden illness, he spent years trying to balance raising Grace alone while working wherever he could find honest employment. Bills piled higher every month. Some evenings he skipped dinner so his daughter could have enough to eat. Yet every morning he smiled for Grace, because she deserved to believe tomorrow would always be brighter than today. Hayes Aviation Systems was his final opportunity. The company was famous throughout the United States for restoring historic aircraft and building advanced aviation technology. People dreamed of working there, but Michael only wanted a steady paycheck. On his first day, the maintenance supervisor gave him a long list of repairs throughout the enormous facility. Everything seemed ordinary until he reached the final assignment. A power failure had affected several buildings, including the electrical system connected to Hangar 9. The supervisor suddenly became uncomfortable. He quietly explained that Michael only needed to inspect the outside electrical panel. Under no circumstances should anyone attempt to enter the hangar. Those orders came directly from CEO Victoria Hayes herself. Michael simply nodded. He had learned long ago that every workplace had secrets. Late that afternoon, dark clouds rolled over Kansas. Heavy rain pounded against the airport runways while fierce winds knocked out power across part of the property. Emergency generators struggled to keep essential systems running. When Michael reached Hangar 9, he noticed something strange. The emergency electrical circuit feeding the hangar had completely failed. Worse still, a fuel ventilation system inside appeared to be offline. If the ventilation remained inactive for too long, dangerous fumes could build up. He immediately contacted the maintenance office, but the radio network had gone silent because of the storm. Standing alone beneath the pouring rain, Michael faced an impossible decision. Ignore the problem and risk a serious accident, or break the 20-year rule. Thinking about the safety of everyone nearby, he chose responsibility over fear. Using the emergency override key stored in the maintenance cabinet, he slowly unlocked the giant doors. As they groaned open, decades of silence escaped into the cold evening air. Dust floated through thin beams of light. The hangar looked frozen in time. In the very center rested an elegant silver aircraft unlike anything Michael had ever seen. It wasn't covered in dust because someone had carefully cleaned it for years. Fresh flowers sat beside one landing wheel. An American flag rested neatly across one wing. The airplane looked less like a machine and more like a memorial. Michael quickly restarted the ventilation system before inspecting the aircraft for possible electrical damage. Everything appeared perfect. Then he noticed something unexpected. The aircraft battery monitor showed dangerously low voltage. Years of experience told him that leaving the system in this condition could permanently damage several components. Without overthinking, he connected external power, completed the proper safety procedures, and carefully started the engines. The enormous propellers slowly began turning. Moments later, the engines came alive. The deep, beautiful roar echoed across the airport for the first time in 20 years. Across the property, every employee froze. Inside the executive office, Victoria Hayes dropped the photograph she had been holding. Her face turned pale. She ran faster than anyone had ever seen her run. By the time she reached Hangar 9, dozens of workers had gathered outside in complete disbelief. The engines slowly shut down as Michael completed his inspection. When Victoria walked inside, everyone expected an explosion of anger. Instead, she stood completely still. Tears rolled silently down her face. She stared at the aircraft, as though hearing a voice from another lifetime. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The only sound came from the rain tapping softly against the roof. For several endless moments, Victoria simply placed one trembling hand against the airplane's polished fuselage. Then she looked toward Michael. Instead of firing him, she quietly asked why he had started the engines. Michael explained everything honestly. He described the failed ventilation system, the low battery warning, and his belief that protecting the aircraft had been the safest decision. He never tried to defend himself. He simply accepted whatever punishment would come. Victoria listened without interrupting. Then she surprised everyone. She thanked him. Employees looked at one another in complete confusion. No one understood what was happening. Victoria slowly revealed the truth she had hidden for 2 decades. 20 years earlier, her father, Richard Hayes, had founded the company from a tiny repair shop with one dream: to restore historic aircraft that represented courage, sacrifice, and hope. The silver airplane inside Hangar 9 had been his greatest achievement. It was the last aircraft he personally restored before taking his family on what should have been a simple demonstration flight. Only minutes after takeoff, an unexpected mechanical failure forced an emergency landing. Richard survived. Victoria's younger brother, Ethan, did not. The loss shattered the entire family. Although investigators confirmed that the accident had not been caused by Richard's restoration work, he blamed himself every single day until his own passing years later. After his death, Victoria locked Hangar 9 forever. She could not bear hearing the engines because they reminded her of the happiest days of childhood that disappeared in one terrible afternoon. Every year, she secretly visited the hangar alone. She cleaned the airplane herself. She placed fresh flowers beside it. But she never allowed the engines to start again. Until today, as she stood listening to the silence after the engines stopped, something unexpected happened inside her heart. For the first time in 20 years, the sound had not brought only pain. It also brought memories of her father's laughter, his endless determination, and the joy he felt whenever an old aircraft returned to life. Michael apologized once again for breaking company policy. Victoria gently shook her head. She admitted that perhaps the hangar had never truly protected her from grief. It had only locked her inside it. The following week, Victoria made a decision that shocked the aviation community. Hangar 9 would no longer remain closed. Instead, it would become the Richard Hayes Aviation Learning Center, where young mechanics, engineering students, military veterans, and children could learn about aviation, perseverance, and the importance of never allowing tragedy to erase hope. She personally asked Michael to lead the restoration education program. At first he refused. He believed others were more qualified. But Victoria had seen something far more valuable than technical skill. She had seen integrity. A man willing to risk his own job simply to protect others. A father who carried kindness into every difficult decision. Michael accepted the position only after learning the program would include scholarships for children who had lost a parent. Grace watched proudly as her father found not only stable work, but also a purpose larger than himself. For the first time since Rebecca's passing, laughter returned to their small home. Every Saturday, Grace visited Hangar 9 wearing tiny safety headphones while her father taught children how airplanes worked. Victoria often joined them. She discovered that healing did not come from forgetting the past. Healing came from allowing painful memories to become a source of hope for someone else. Months later, on Veterans Day, thousands of visitors gathered outside the restored hangar. The silver airplane rolled slowly onto the runway beneath a bright American sky. Instead of being hidden behind locked doors, it now represented resilience. Families applauded. Veterans saluted. Children dreamed of becoming pilots and engineers. As the engine started once again, Victoria smiled through tears. This time she heard more than sorrow. She heard her father's dream finally taking flight again. Michael looked toward Grace, standing beside the runway, waving proudly with the biggest smile he had seen in years. In that moment, he realized something extraordinary. Sometimes the greatest repair a mechanic can make isn't fixing an airplane. Sometimes it's helping repair a broken heart that have been waiting decades for someone brave enough to open the door. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to comment below with the words "Hope can fly again." Your comment may encourage someone who is carrying invisible pain today. As this incredible journey comes to an end, please like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue creating stories that inspire compassion, healing, forgiveness, and hope. Because sometimes one ordinary act of courage doesn't just start an airplane. It starts a brand new life for everyone waiting behind a locked door.